Hey guys, Lex here, back for some more of the Great Ace Attorney. Last time we ended with new information on the disc Gregson confiscated from us. Now let's jump right back into it. The prosecution has established the accused's motive, opportunity, and baseness of character. There's nothing more to add. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I await your informed decision and rest my case. I'm also guessing they have the same blood type. Don't believe it. I had the jury on my side for once for all of 5 minutes.
Oh dear. No, it wasn't even for 5 minutes, Bruno.
My lord. Wonder if I might say something at this point. Proceed, Mr. Foreman. Been stumbling about in a bit of a fog up to now, if truth be told, but all of a sudden, the answer's barely obvious to me and my men. There's only one thing forward. Oh no. Very well, the court will hear from the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, you will present your readings as to the defendant's culpability.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty.
We have a consensus amongst the jury, it seems. You have eliminated the impossible. Whatever remains must be the truth.
That's my line. I wrote that for Hurley. Ah, how dare you use it against us?
Don't worry, Iris. I don't think we're finished yet. There's still more to this case than we realize. There must be, because there's one thing that I'm absolutely certain of. Gina didn't shoot Mr. Windibank. That's beyond any doubt. Very well. We will proceed with the second summation examination of the day. Mr. Foreman, are you and the other jurors ready? Garrett Squadron is primed and ready for action, sir. Very good. So, ladies and gentlemen of jury, you will each explain on what grounds you have now determined the defendant to be guilty. Judicial findings. The jurors' contentions. Once a rogue, always a rogue, I say. Different breed to us law-abiding citizens.
As only 2 bullets were found at the scene, I would say the whole case is done and dusted.
You don't need no stereoscope to see the truth here. Every which way you look at it, yours that pickpocket. I'd never imagined the simple operation would cost me such grief.
The accused attempted a theft on the previous day. I can see him in for a dizzy day ahead.
I am ballistic expert. I have seen many shootings. There is nothing I do not know about guns. It would seem there is little remaining room for doubt. Have to admit, I was rather bowled over by the argument put forward by the chap in black. But when that fell apart like a house of cards, I saw that jolly well been hoodwinked. Well, no more. The whole courtroom is turning against me.
It's not fair.
Iris?
The prosecutor's being mean. Just because Gina's done some things she shouldn't have done in the past, that doesn't make her a murderer.
Allow me to savor this fruity vintage while I savor the spectacle of your fruitless debate on the matter. Here's to the truth coming out, eventually. Yeah, cheers. That's enough preamble. Counsel, proceed with the summation examination. Yes, my lord. Jury examination. The defense's rebuttal. Hold it. Just because Miss Lestrade had a history of pickpocketing, she must be guilty of murder, is that what you're saying? Oh, well. Are all members of the British Army so quick to judge? I beg your pardon. Are you mocking Her Majesty's Armed Forces, the greatest military organization in the world? No, I'm simply illustrating my point. Making assumptions about people because they're a soldier or a pickpocket is wrong and dangerous. Well, yes, more of a point there, I suppose. But let's not forget the girl has already shown she had it in her from before. She's clearly a criminal sort through and through. Can't deny it. When you say that she'd shown she had it in her, are you referring to this? Exactly. Tried to swipe that only a day earlier, or am I mistaken? Not exactly. Given that I was actually there at the time, and it's hard to refute that.
I've actually seen the real thing. Can't wait to have a closer look at it.
Oh yes, of course. Mr. Sholmes did use his caramel burst to make a copy of the disc, didn't he? And then ordered every type of music box he could find from across Europe. Ooh, I wonder what's in it.
Still don't know what the two-minute place though, do we? But I'd love to see how the original compares to Hurley's copy.
Gilded's disc. Could it be a clue somehow? Perhaps we should examine it in more detail, or he did.
Hold it!
Is the number of bullets that has you convinced?
Only 2 bullets were fired, and the 2 guns that fired them have been examined by the police. When the parlor maid asks me how many are invited for dinner, I always tell her to count the table settings.
Well, that's logical, I suppose.
Although,
Yes.
sometimes after dining, crockery does go missing. 1 or 2 guests rather like the fine china.
Does your employer dine with thieves?
So I suppose. If there was another bullet somewhere of which we were unaware, I'd like to reconsider my position.
Third bullet somewhere on the scene. Could that be possible? I think I can prove it. Let me show you the third bullet.
Take that!
Did I lose points? I don't suppose this would pass as the third bullet. Passes for a bullet as much as you pass for a lawyer, my learned friend. From you, I'm going to take this as meaning not much. No way does it resemble a bullet, if that helps your understanding of my last remark. Counsel, fairly so expected evidence to present in correct form. Damn it. Been a long day.
Let's actually try to find this third bullet before I tap that again, you know.
I know. I was going too fast. Especially since I'm low on health.
Hold it!
So if I've understood correctly, you need 2 pictures. A left eye one and a slightly different right eye one. Exactly. Then you can see that the scene is 3-dimensional like this. So if we have 2 bullets, I don't suppose you can see anything useful with them. I think you'll find that no matter how you squint, the truth of the situation always looks the same. The only person who could have shot the victim is that girl in the dock. How can you be so sure of that? Think about it. The Skulking brothers shot the great detective, didn't they? Yes, that's been mentioned once or twice. Well then, surely it's coming into focus now, isn't it? This is a waste of time. I'm not going to change this man's mind anytime soon. So Mr. Windibank shot ex-Benedict, and then when Gina tried to point the gun at him, he was already out of bullets.
Hold it!
Something like that. Would you please stop muttering about things that have nothing to do with this trial, sir? The defendant's life is on the line here. Well, the thing is, I couldn't really say that it has nothing to do with this trial, to be honest. Huh? I mean, there's no question that the man that was shot by the bullet was simply banished from his stomach. It's It's quite inexplicable, don't you think? I almost don't want to ask, but the surgery you've been muttering all about this time, you were operating on? What was that fellow's name now? Herlick? No, Herlock. No, Hairlock. No, you left your scalpel into the great detective? Herlock Sholmes by any chance? Yes, good lord. It was that Hairlock fellow.
What? You're the surgeon who operated on Mr. Sholmes.
That's right, using every latest anesthesia techniques. I might add, it was a fairly major up, I could tell you. This is crazy. Let me tell you, let me see, the fellow was brought in not long after midnight if I remember correctly. They said he'd been shot by some criminal or other, so I opened up like a shot. But the funny thing is, I went over his insides with a fine-tooth comb and couldn't find the bullet anywhere. So I'm afraid I had to throw up my hands and just stitch the fellow back up. Hate to state the obvious, but yes. Surely that's because the bullet is still at the scene of the shooting. The counsel for the defense is correct. As clearly shown in this photographic print. The bullet that the Skulkin brothers fired at Mr. Sholmes hit him in the stomach region and exited his body lodged into the shop wall where the calendar was hanged by the door. I think you'll find it's really quite simple if you just consider the problem three-dimensionally. Huh. Who do you think I am, son? Well, juror number 4 is about the best I can do. As soon as I saw the wound to the man's stomach, I flipped him over. Like a pancake? You saying that you checked his back? Of course I did. And there wasn't a trace of injury. No sign that the bullet had left the body at all. What?
That's the point. The only logical conclusion was that the bullet was still somewhere in the man's innards.
Which is exactly why I said about slicing him up. I'm still none the wiser even now. How many times do I have to say it? Can someone please explain how it happened? Can someone please solve the mystery? It's almost as much of a history as how this jury was put together.
Hold it!
You're in for a busy day.
Got to say, stop. Do excuse me, stop. I am a communications officer, stop.
Communications officer? Does that have something to do with sending telegrams?
Everything from personal messages written by members of the public to the latest news in the capital. It convert all messages into Morse code and type it out to the entire world electronically.
To the entire world?
Thousands of miles of cable in the sea, stop. Worldwide communication network, stop. Information transmitted to and from all corners of the globe, stop.
Ah yes, she was getting equally worked up about radio waves or like that before, wasn't she?
Specialize in communicating information from government departments and newspaper offices.
I see.
Sure, I will have to wire the newspaper reports of today's guilty verdict data. So no sleep for me tonight, I imagine.
Let's just finish the trial first, shall we? Oh yes, ballistic expert.
Hold it!
I thought you were just a tourist. Good day. I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take bus to Crystal Tower, please. No, he's just a visiting tourist. So you're a ballistic expert. Who knew? I have much experience with guns. I have lived through many, how you say, extreme, violent deaths of, no blood,
Extreme violent bloodbaths, perhaps?
those extreme violent bloodbaths. English is very difficult tongue. Concerning the sort of people you associate with, I'm surprised you still have a tongue. Anyway, if you have questions about bullets and guns, you ask me. There is nothing I do not know. No mystery I cannot solve. He's very confident in his knowledge of guns, that's for sure. But, if possible, please only in Russian language.
He's not very confident in his knowledge of English, though, is he?
No, still, we should bear it in mind. He's our man if there's a mystery about guns or bullets. Cool. And Zeeks has managed to convince everyone.
You have eliminated all impossible, he said. But he hasn't.
If we're going to fight back, we need more material. And we have to fight back. We have to turn this trial around again. Oh.
Objection!
Expert, you say? Those statements contradict each other. The idea I do. What? They don't contradict. Oh, ballistics expert. Pitting. P-A-T-T. On the night in question, Mr. Sholmes was shot by one of the Skulgan brothers. But since there was no sign of an exit wound on his back, we must assume that the bullet didn't pass through him. However, no bullet was found lodged in Mr. Sholmes' body either. Furthermore, a bullet was found lodged in the wall of the shop where Mr. Sholmes was shot. Juror number 6. Hello, my name is Willy. Pleased to meet you. This apparent contradiction in the facts that is so clearly troubling juror number 4. Are you able to explain the mystery? I have seen very similar situation in Motherland. It was night. There was blizzard. I was running away along mountain road and freezing cold. Colder. The snow was piling high on both sides of the road. It was very narrow and dangerous. My pursuers had hunting rifles and they were in dog sleds. Mental note, don't ask too many questions. I was shot from behind and I fell down in snow. And this situation was very similar to what I hear today from doctor. They could not find bullet in my body and no sign of, how you say, exit wound. Then, where did the bullet go? Bullet never hit me. Well, if it never hit you, why did you fall down? Bullet hit frozen wall of ice very close to my side. What? One small piece, very sharp, broke away from lump of ice, pierced my body. It made deep wound that looks like bullet wound. Good gracious. Of course, piece of ice quickly melted inside me. And that is solution to mystery of disappearing bullet. But that doesn't answer the question at all. The shooting happened in the pawnbroker's shop, not some snowy mountain road in another country. Just an idea, but we might not be looking at exactly the same scenario here.
I don't know. Where exactly was Hurley shot again?
Well, according to the report, in the stomach. Sort of around this area, I think.
Well, that's precisely where he always wears a little pouch on his belt.
A pouch? Actually, I might have noticed something like that.
Yes, a pouch. It's where he keeps his 3 class files of dangerous chemicals that he uses in his investigation.
What? Really? Doctor, where's the pouch that Mr. Sholmes was wearing? Well, the fellow had nothing like that on his person when he arrived at the hospital, as far as I remember. If I may. Lord Van Zeeks, while I realize it is forbidden for the prosecution to interject during a summation examination, I should inform the defense that I have the pouch in question in the antechamber outside the courtroom. Sorry? As I understand it, when the police arrived on the scene and found Mr. Sholmes injured, they removed the pouch in order to assess the wound. Oh, thank goodness. I thought I was getting forgetful for a moment. Since then, it has been in my safekeeping along with all other evidence relating to the case. I can personally vouch for a fact that it has not been touched since the incident occurred. Very well then, while extremely unconventional during our summation examination, I must thus demand the prosecution present this item in question with all speed. Bring forth Mr. Herlock Sholmes's pouch. I see. So this is the pouch worn by Mr. Sholmes on the night in question. Look at that. One of the files is broken and the leather around it is scorched black. It's almost as if the file exploded. Exploded? So that night, the bullet from the Skulkin brothers' gun struck Mr. Sholmes's pouch. And it was the glass file exploding that caused the fellow's injury. This bullet did not penetrate victim, but was deflected into wall of shop. A delightfully complex aroma. Well, it would appear one mystery has been solved at least. Though it has no bearing on the truth of this case. The bungling and burgling brothers shot the detective, and the accused shot the pawnbroker. The pertinent facts of the case remain unaltered. But at least the mystery is solved. I can sleep easy tonight. Thank you, young man. Thank you very much. Glad I could help. Due to its bearing on the conundrum just solved, the court will sequester the scruffy pouch as evidence.
Earl's pouch isn't scruffy.
Holmes's pouch. Now, the summation examination. It would appear the defenses were somewhat struggling to alter opinion, Please, my lord, a little more time. After all, that's a new piece of evidence. It could be a valuable clue, and you can't afford to overlook anything hairy in this case. There's still a way to turn this around somehow. I'm sure of it. Alright, then I go here. Okay, and then I go look this up, and there's gonna be a bullet in here. Got him.
Oh look, there's a hole in the back.
Doesn't look like much of a bullet hole, but clearly someone ripped through the letter with great force.
Something must have pierced it somehow to have left this hole behind.
Yes, it looks that way. Mr. Sholmes and his pouch both took a beating, didn't they? Oh! Got him. It's really scorched badly, just
Oh, the strap is broken, look.
This must be where the bullet hit then.
Let me see.
Bingo. What the? Iris, look! Behind where the broken file was. Do you see it?
That's the Skulkin brothers' bullet.
What stroke of luck that it hit this pouch. This is an amazing discovery. What this means is, there were 3 bullets fired at Windibanks that night.
I found exactly what the juror was talking about. The 3rd bullet.
It's time to press that juror again, I think. Oh man, I can't believe I lost a point for that. Really shouldn't have gotten, pressed that. Fast forwarding.
I can prove it this time.
Oh.
Take that!
Here it is. We just discovered it now. Yes, on the night in question at Windibank's pawnbrokery, another bullet was fired.
Hold it!
What is this new trickery, you Nipponese conjurer? Where did you find that bullet? It's lodged inside Mr. Sholmes' pouch. What? This pouch was removed from around Mr. Sholmes' waist before he was taken to the hospital. And since then, it's been touched by no one, according to you. Do you mean to say the shot fired by the Skulkin brothers that night? Yes, as your lordship has surmised. It hit this pouch. But that makes no sense whatsoever. You already know the whereabouts of the bullet fired at Mr. Sholmes. It's clearly visible in the photographic print. 2 guns from the scene have already been submitted to the court records as evidence. Yes, that of Mr. Windibank and that belonging to the Skulkin brothers. And the examination of both guns revealed that only a single bullet had been fired from each.
Oh,
But that must mean... That's right. We now know that on the night in question, 3 bullets were fired. However, only 2 bullets were fired from guns recovered from the crime scene. And until that incontrovertible inconsistency is somehow explained, we cannot and must not pass judgment. Ugh. Oh. Order. While this summation examination remains incomplete, the court has been presented with new facts. The facts that will appear to shake the very foundation upon which this case against the defendant has been built. It's my prerogative in this situation. I hereby temporarily suspend the summation examination. By Jupiter! What? Bailiff, bring the witnesses back to the stand at once. Hey. Mr. Benedict. Witnesses. Governor. Were you listening to the proceedings while the defense carried out the summation examination? We was, Governor, we was. Perhaps we can disperse with the tedious preamble to simply answer this one question. A 3rd bullet has been identified at the scene of the crime. What do you make of that? Make of it, Guff. I don't make nothing of nothing if I can't help it. Is it one of yours? Go blimey, Guff, go blimey, not a chance. In that case, do you have an accomplice? What? Never. The Skulkin brothers walk alone. It's just the 2 of us. That's all trademark. How soon we forget poor Sulky. Only 2 of the bullets from the crime scene originated from the firearms we have in evidence. The 3rd bullet was fired from another gun. Where is it? Lobby. That's an scratcher. Counsel for the defense. Yes. I should like to hear your thoughts regarding these new developments. The 3rd bullet and the mysterious missing firearm from whence it came. Thinking back on all the testimony we've heard and all the evidence we've seen, I think I'm starting to form a picture. Picture of what really happened that night. My lord, I think it's clear what the 3rd bullet tells us about the Skulkin brothers. On that night at Lindeback's prom brokery, the brothers must have been working with a 3rd man. The witnesses are clearly doing their best to cover up the existence of this accomplice. But the evidence all points to the fact that there was someone else present, someone carrying a gun.
Objection!
An accomplice, you say? Pigswell. These protracted proceedings have already forced us to endure 2 summation examinations. Yet in all that time, there has been not a murmur of a 3rd man. This apparently wraith-like being exists. The court must be shown hard evidence. Without it, this fantasy will be crushed. Already have evidence. The prosecution demands answers on 2 counts. Firstly, proof, evidence that this accomplice was ever at the scene of the crime. And secondly, the identity of the spurious character. Skulkins are lying, I know that. But how can I ascertain the identity of the person they've been hiding? Well, counsel. Supposed to prove the existence of their accomplice, and reveal the person's identity even. In response to the prosecution's demands, my lord, the defense is ready. Easy. The defense is ready. I believe I can provide all the answers to the prosecution demands. So, my Nipponese friend, despite the swimming eyes, you seem to think you have something to say. This promises to be interesting. I have to push forward now. There's no other option. I need to use every single piece of evidence available to me if it'll make the difference. In that case, counsel, I would like to present evidence without delay. On the night in question, and the moments leading up to the death of the victim, what proof do you have that there is a third intruder present at the scene? 1, 2, 3...
Take that!
The evidence is right here, in this portfolio. By Jove, that portfolio again, is it? Do you expect the court to rifle through your papers itself? Be more specific. Claim one of these blood samples proves the presence of this third intruder. Well, which one is it?
Take that!
What am I looking at here? There appears to be green paint or such like around the bullet hole in the middle of the calendar. It's a bloodstain, my lord. A bloodstain? Green blood. Curious, even for you. Is the court to understand that the intruder was some inhuman creature? It's something developed by Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
By the great detective. New invention, stop. Not yet appeared in stories, stop. It's this, you see. It doesn't have a name yet, though. A fogger sprays a chemical that reacts with different elements in people's blood to change its color.
Different elements of people's blood?
Yes. Everyone's blood is slightly different, you see, because it's made up of different elements. So by seeing what color it changes to, you could tell in a flash whose blood it is.
Okay. I thought it was like telling what type of blood it is. Okay. Ooh, that brings a whole extra dimension to looking at blood.
Talk of blood in courtroom, stop. Very exciting, stop.
As an example, this one shows blood of the victim, Mr. Windibank. Ah, a striking blue. Yes, so you see, the green color of this bloodstain on the calendar shows someone else was shot in the main part of the shop. Now hold fire there, young man. Could be from some unrelated incident, couldn't it? No, it's not unrelated. The date showing on the calendar is the date on which Mr. Windibank was killed. By golly. Therefore, we can assume that whoever was shot on the same day. Whose blood is it? Well, the Skulkin brothers in the stand don't appear to be suffering from any gunshot injuries. Which means it must be the blood of somebody else. The third intruder, in fact.
Objection!
Whose identity the court is still waiting to hear. We can't delay this any longer, my learned friend. Who is this alleged third intruder? Egbert Benedict.
Take that!
The name is Egbert Benedict. Egbert Benedict? Who on earth are you talking about, cousin? He paid a visit to Mr. Windibank's pawnbrokery on the afternoon before the incident took place. And the accused attempted to deceive the pawnbroker into releasing this article into her possession. That's right. The man identified by the defense, Mr. Egbert Benedict, then attempted to take the article from the defendant by force. Broker. Yes, sir. I believe this filthy pocket thief just redeemed an article from you, no? Yes, sir. The article in question belongs to me. I demand for it to be returned at once.
Now that's a lie. What are you trying to pull?
Give me back my overcoat, you rascal, and needless to say. And music box discs too. Inspector Gregson was there at the time and can attest to what happened. In the end, it was the inspector himself who took the disc. Can you corroborate this account, Inspector? Yes, my lord. That's more or less what happened. In the interest of being thorough, I asked Windibank for a print showing the fellow. Taken from one of his red-handed recorder cabinets. Yes, that's him talking to Mr. Windibank that morning. You claim this man was the brother's accomplice? Yes, well, Mr. and Mr. Skulkin. Never seen that geezer before in my life. All my life, Governor, all my life. Never seen him. Well, somewhat unsurprisingly, it appears our witnesses disagree with the assertion. I'm sure your lordship recalls my learned Nipponese friend's assertion, which was he could prove the identity of the alleged accomplice. Yes, and I can. Then, show us the evidence.
I agree. It must show proof that the clean-cut gentleman in the photograph is a filthy criminal as you say he is.
This is the last piece of evidence. I've had a feeling that something had been missing in this trial from the very start, but now, I'm going to drag it kicking and screaming into the courtroom. Are you ready to present your answer to the court then, counsel? Yes, my lord. The defense will present the evidence now. Proof that the man pictured in his photographic print was in fact struck by the third bullet. Okay, I thought I had to pick something in that picture.
Take that!
As I mentioned before, on the afternoon of the day in question, the defendant attempted, deceitfully, admittedly, to reclaim this disc from Mr. Windibanks. Just when the aforementioned Egbert Benedict appeared on the scene, I believe. This man attempted to purloin the article from the defendant's possession, no? That's correct, my lord. I myself was present at the time. It was following that the minor incident occurred. But of course, sir, here's the disc for you. Very well. Then I shall bid you farewell. Say goodbye to Star.
Wait a minute. That disc is mine. Oh, what do you think you're doing, you little trump? You've drawn blood, you filthy animal.
Being a music box disc, it has countless small but sharp metal protrusions over its surface. Those protrusions caused Mr. Benedict's finger to bleed, and the resulting smear of blood is still visible on the disc now. Goodness, a bloodstain, is it? My sister and I have just analyzed a bloodstain here in this very courtroom.
Using my trusty fogger gun.
Yes, and we've added the results to this portfolio. I say,
It's green. It's exactly the same color as the blood around the calendar.
the evidence is conclusive. The man calling himself Mr. Egbert Benedict, who was in Windibanks earlier that day, is the accomplice who was present at the scene of the crime at the same night.
So there was someone there.
And those two brothers now.
They're sweating buckets.
Oi, what are you talking about?
It's boiling here.
My lord, it is the opinion of the defense that Mr. Egbert Benedict should be summoned to the courtroom to testify. It would certainly seem that we can ill afford to ignore this gentleman's apparent presence.
Objection!
This has gone on long enough now. This flagrant ignorance of the mechanics of law. Sherlock Holmes, you say? Yes, I've heard of the name. The protagonist in a series of short stories for the local classes. A god of detection or some such. And now you employ chemical substances devised by this fantastical persona in the highest court of the land. You expect us to take you seriously? The samples made by this plaything are not fit to be called evidence. Hey, someone mentioned it. So the bloodstain turned a shade of green. What of it? Here's to you successfully proving that no other blood in the world would turn the same color. Well. And pray, do not even think of suggesting that we should take Mr. Sholmes' word for it.
Is he right?
Is Mr. Sholmes' contracted a load of rubbish?
I don't know.
I mean, he's a great detective. What are you talking about?
Can't let him get away with it.
I knew it would come to this. Of course, Mr. Sholmes' invention isn't going to be recognized by any official body. What other choice did I have?
Just remembering what Father Christmas over there just said before. About how he was temporarily suspending the summation examination. In other words, the examination isn't over yet, is it?
Good grief, what did you say, young girl?
In a summation examination, the decision as to whether or not the trial continues is in the hands of the 6 jurors, isn't it? So, the way I see it, it doesn't matter what certain other people think of Hurley's invention. At least, not for now.
Yes, she's right. Young lady, you have quite the devious mind.
It really just comes down to one thing. Whether these ladies and gentlemen of the jury are convinced by what you saw, Runo. Is that about right, what you say, or did I misunderstand something?
Unbelievable. Mr. Sholmes' partner is a force to be reckoned with.
Iris Wilson, sharpshooter.
After that shrewd precis of the situation from an entirely unexpected source, it must be acknowledged that the previous summation examination has yet to reach its conclusion. This is absurd. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court now looks to you for your final leanings in this matter. As proud citizens of Her Majesty's Britain, you will come to fair and just conclusions. So then, state your final decisions in turn, please.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Guilty.
What?
Guilty.
Not guilty.
What? Why did you put guilty?
2 call guilty and 4 call not guilty. Such is the outcome of the summation examination.
Objection.
My lord, with all due respect, this is an outrage. The prosecution refuses to accept this decision. On what grounds? If these jurors are persuaded by some half-baked concoction devised by pretender to real police work, then they are too ignorant to be trusted with the judgment of anyone's guilt. Sorry, Lord Van Zeeks, but the outcome of the summation examination cannot be ignored. This trial will continue. Nevertheless, we find ourselves in a rather awkward situation. Defense has very reasonably requested the subpoena of a new witness, but sadly I fear that would be impossible. The name the gentleman gave for himself, Edward Benedict, is quite clearly false. Don't believe it. Just when I managed to prove the man was there that night.
Could I say something?
Who was that? Please, who spoke?
It was me, my lord.
Juror number 5. What have you to say, madam?
If possible, Inspector.
Eh? Me? Ma'am?
I wonder if you might show the photographic print to me again. The one in which the gentleman is shown.
Ah, right, yes, this one you mean? Oh, Mr. Benedict.
Yes. Yes, no doubt in my mind.
Juror number 5, you don't mean to say? You know this man?
Yes, I know him.
What? No. Good gracious. Oh, is that why she picked guilty? Order. Juror number 5, how on earth?
I'm a communication officer. Stop.
As we can clearly see.
The gentleman in the photograph is. Stop. Also a communications officer. Stop. He works in my office. Stop. A very talented operator, in fact. Stop.
A spy.
Should be in the communication station now. Stop. Tapping away on the telegraph. Stop.
This doesn't seem right somehow. I can't put my finger on why, but it doesn't feel right.
Suppose we all imagined the accomplice would be some sort of hardened criminal. So bit unexpected to find out that he has a respectable job by day, whatever he gets up to at night.
Yes, I suppose that's it. I suppose that's why I felt something was wrong. If the gentleman is at London's communication station, we should be able to subpoena him within the hour. Lord Vincex, if you please. Yes, my lord. Make the necessary arrangements with all haste, as your lordship bids. The court will recess for 1 hour. When a new witness arrives, we shall reconvene to hear the gentleman's testimony. Inspector Gregson. Yes, my lord. I should like to hear from you specifically about events at the pawnbroker on the day in question. Come to my chambers during recess. Yes, sir, my lord. Very well. Court is adjourned until 1:40 p.m. That was nice. We'll continue this next time. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe. See ya.